What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Average Bob, and we are here with a Week 1 NFL preview for the Giants versus the Vikings at home in MetLife Stadium this Sunday at 1 p.m. The Giants are very slight underdogs in this one. Just looking at the line in Vegas that they put out so far, coming in at +1.5 and +105 on the money line. So let's get started talking about a key few things for today's game. I do want to get started on talking about the huge matchup for Justin Jefferson, star wide receiver on the Vikings, versus the Giants secondary. The Giants are going to have to be pretty creative in finding ways to shut down Jefferson, who got a monster deal this previous offseason that kept him happy. Then let's just talk about their quarterback position for a second. They drafted J.J. McCarthy, who was slotted to come in the starter after Kirk Cousins left in free agency last year after tearing his Achilles. So J.J. McCarthy gets hurt, and then comes in Sam Darnold, who has played many games in MetLife Stadium through his tumultuous career with the Jets. So now he has a chance to come back to where his career started and see if he could steal a win on the road. So it's going to be a unique situation for Sam Darnold coming back here to see how he can exploit this matchup in the secondary and really how he can make his highly paid star wide receiver as happy as possible. So I think they are going to throw the ball a lot to him in this game. This coaching staff from the Vikings seems to always want to throw the ball, whether it's to their multitude of tight ends or get other guys involved in the passing offense as well. So to touch on my original point about the matchup right now for Justin Jefferson, they're going to do whatever they can to use him and get him involved. I think the last time, it feels like a lifetime ago when the Giants played the Vikings in the playoffs, and so much has changed between those two teams, especially from a coaching and then also player perspective. But I feel like in that game, they were able to get Justin Jefferson involved early, and then he just disappeared the rest of the game. So I think in this matchup, he's going to want to try and even that ship, and they're going to want to try and get some payback for the Giants ruining their season and taking them out on their home turf. The reason why I'm pretty concerned about this matchup is obviously Justin Jefferson's a superstar, but if you're looking at him being covered by Deonte Banks, second-year guy who played okay last year, so he's a monster matchup in week 1. Adoree Jackson also signed by the Giants last week. Is he fully brought up to speed in a new defensive scheme? Wink Martindale is no longer the defensive coordinator, and it's gone to Shane Bowen. So how much of an impact will that have in this system, right? And it probably takes a little time to ramp up. I said Adoree Jackson was getting older, but he's still only 28 years old. But in this secondary, that makes him almost ancient compared to how young some of the other guys are. So it's a huge matchup between Justin Jefferson and the rest of the Vikings wide receivers versus a young budding secondary. And now you're throwing Adoree Jackson in there to start, and he hasn't really gotten many reps. I mean, you're looking at a week and a half of practice where camp's over essentially. So it's more of just getting ready for the first game. I personally don't know how much they actually are practicing right now. But up next, Giants fans are going to get their first look at Malik Neighbors in the 100th century uniform, which he said he was having problems with trying to swag out or get drippy or whatever all these words are that all the young kids use these days that I'm completely out of the loop with now. But yeah, guys, I'm super excited for this. This is the first playmaker that we've had since Odell Beckham in the wide receiver position that can actually have an impact on the game, and I'm hoping we can see that in game 1. So that will mean, I think, maybe they'll take a shot to him, or I do think one major thing that you'll see from the wide receiver play calling perspective this year is because last year everyone was banged up, the offensive line was dog shit, they couldn't have more than 2 seconds to throw the ball on the field. I think this year, regardless, they're going to be willing to either take a sack if they could just chuck one downfield, and also to say that they'll be willing to throw an interception. And if it's, a 30, 40, 50-yard bomb and someone else on the other team comes away with it, then, it is what it is. At least we started taking shots, where last year and the last few years, there have been no significant shots down the field, whether that would be a play calling scheme or just not being able to protect up front. So this year, I think we'll see much more, different strategy there, especially now you have to get your number, 6 overall wide receiver involved somehow and see what he's got. And, if, regardless, a lot of it is going to be on Daniel Jones' shoulders to come back after a monster ACL injury and see what he can do. I got to be honest with you guys, and I know going to the game on Sunday and hitting the tailgate, which game one tailgates are my favorite of the year because I'm going to have so much optimism. And I'm not trying to be political or anything, but you saw people after the first Trump and Biden debate, and it was in the Biden camp where he came out after and everyone's there for the post-game party and everyone's chanting, 4 more years, 4 more years. That is literally my level of delusional optimism going into this season right now. I don't know why. I think I'm just happy that the football is back. But when you look at the previous 2 seasons, the Giants' first games, you had the fun game versus the Titans. But going back to that game, Dable's first game, I don't think the Giants scored a single point in the first half of that game. Going back to the Cowboys game last year, Giants also don't score a point, I don't think, in the first half of that game. Actually, they didn't score a point the entire game. I think the final score was 40-0. So this brings me to my next point. If you're looking to take some action from a betting perspective, I think the Giants defense is good enough to stop the Vikings offense or really contain it in the first half. Maybe you'll see a Justin Jefferson big break play here or there, but I don't see significant points being scored from either team. As you know, there's new players, new adjustments, guys coming back off injuries. You got a backup quarterback on the Vikings. So I'm leaning with the under first half points in this one. I got it at 20 or 20 and a half. So I'm taking the under there. Feel pretty confident in that, considering the Giants in every game last year only averaged 15 points a game. So if you divide that by 2, you're looking at a touchdown. And the Vikings, I just think this game's going to come out and maybe be a little bit sloppy to start, just based on what we saw, a lot of sloppiness from the Giants last year, and a lot of people are sleeping on the Vikings this year, but you never know. I mean, speaking with a buddy of mine who's a huge Vikings fan, he said it would be so Vikings that Sam Darnold comes out in a revenge game in MetLife Stadium and lights it up with Justin Jefferson and looks great for the first 2 games of the season, and then goes back to whatever the analogy is. The pumpkin turns back into whatever. The carriage turns into the pumpkin. Whatever. You get my drift. Yeah, and last but not least here, I'm looking forward to seeing this new and improved Giants defensive line and front, with really just adding in Brian Burns into the equation, how much of an impact he has, because they did pay him a significant amount of money coming off that trade. So I'm really excited to see what he could do. I'm hoping for the best. And, theoretically speaking, right, when you bring in a guy with Brian Burns' resume and talent level, that should open up and make life easier for Kayvon Thibodeau on the opposite side of the field from him. So if that could turn into I don't know, I don't want to say when we had, Tuck, OC, Strahan, JBP, guys like that over the years, and you had a rotation at D-line where there were so many guys that were good. I obviously don't think we're there yet, but it would be cool if they could kind of scratch the surface of that starting with week 1. Also, I'm taking the Giants money line in this one, and then might look into some other props. I just saw you might be able to get some value on Wan'Dale Robinson, 28.5 over receiving yards there. That could be something worth tailing, because he did come alive in the back half of last season pretty heavily, and he's someone that could just hit a quick screen for 20, 30 yards. So something to keep in mind for there. But yeah, let me know if you guys are going to the game. Would love to meet some of you guys. Hit up a tailgate, have fun. It's the best part. Week 1, the optimism is there. The new bodies are there. The new look. Malik Neighbors getting a catch. Everyone's gonna be like, Leeek. So it's fun. I'm optimistic. It's going to be a beautiful day in MetLife Stadium, and regardless, I'm going to enjoy it. So I hope you guys do too. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.